You clicked for tunnels and takedowns. Here's what you're getting next. The 5 Sky Harbor insiders who turned a medical lane into a drug corridor. The payment trails that never touched a bank. And the encrypted messages that point to one architect. We'll map the tunnels, the airport, and the trucking routes into Phoenix, Chicago, and Detroit. Then show the reforms, biometric cargo checks, tamper-proof labels, and 2,400 infrared cameras, designed to stop this exact breach. Watch to the end to see how investigators are closing in on El Architecto. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. You've heard about tunnels. The quiet breach lived somewhere else, inside a hospital-tagged cargo lane at Phoenix Sky Harbor, where speed rules and labels decide who jumps the line. The airport moves high volumes through dedicated paths for time-critical medical consignments. Couriers hand off sealed containers that carry live tissue, transplant parts, and high-value equipment. They rely on tight timing. Label integrity isn't paperwork, it's access. If the code scans clean, the pallet gets priority, fewer holds, and a straight shot to outbound aircraft or fast-track ground transfer. 5 handlers slipped into that flow. Their badges looked legitimate. Their background checks read clean. Their attendants never tripped HR. They worked as contractors on night shifts, close to the sort racks where decisions happen in seconds. The scheme was simple in design and careful in practice. Swap container labels to piggyback on the medical corridor, then walk the redirected units through scanners built to move life-saving cargo, not stop it. The lane trusted the label. They exploited that trust. The workflow made it possible. Pallets arrive inbound, sealed, and wrapped. A supervisor matches the manifest against the label. The scanner reads the barcode. Software assigns a lane, and the clock starts. Under time pressure, a relabeled container rides the expedited path, avoiding deeper screening that slows regular freight. The handlers waited for shift peaks when load planners triaged by scan results and timetables. Not curiosity. One relabel in the right minute carries a lot of weight. Open reports over the years point to weak seams in special handling lanes. Screening policies treat medical cargo with priority to avoid delays. Insider threat programs have flagged badge misuse and label tampering as recurring risks at large hubs. The pattern fits known vulnerabilities around contractor access and rushed workflows, especially in areas where throughput targets determine staffing and scanner selection. Money kept the cadence steady. Bribes moved across untraceable rails using prepaid crypto vouchers redeemed into nested wallets, then tumbled through offshore mixers. Transfers hit right before payroll, the same night every week, to blend with normal deposits and reduce attention from basic financial checks. Each handler had a personal wallet only used once, then burned. A coordinator pushed funds from a pool wallet that never touched domestic exchanges. Discipline prevented leaks. Burners rotated every 7 days. Shift notes appeared as QR codes printed on receipt paper, scanned, then destroyed. Tasks split by step. One pulled the target pallet from inbound, one made the label, one performed the swap, one walked the container to the medical lane, and one verified the scan. No handler could describe the full route. The labels copied legitimate hospital accounts with minor variations that passed a hurried glance and a tired scanner. It came apart on a detail no one expected. A data auditor working a side project on cargo cycle times pulled a sample across lanes and found slight weight-to-manifest mismatches. The outliers kept pointing to the same medical consignee ID that showed unusual frequency on overnight flights. That ID appeared again in a cluster of containers that had perfect on-time records, but inconsistent declared materials. When investigators traced the payments, they found a rules-based system. Fixed rates per redirected container. Penalties if the swap missed the cutoff window. Bonuses tied to on-time medical throughput. Paid within an hour of the scan event posting to the terminal log. The entire scheme moved on anonymized digital rails that mirrored payroll timing and disguised flow as routine. If the airport became a silent conveyor, the question is obvious. With so little friction at the finish line, where did the bulk product start its run? Why did armored vehicles roll down quiet Arizona streets the same morning seismic monitors went live? Because the ground itself was part of the schedule. The network relied on 5 reinforced tunnels built for rhythm, not speed. Concrete shells poured to hold shape, intake and exhaust ducts pushing air at a steady flow, low-voltage lighting strung along the ceiling, and narrow-gauge rails sunk into the floor. These were not single-use burrows. They were conveyors. Each route fed a discrete endpoint on the US side, sized for crates that fit standard pallets. Noise stayed low, heat stayed flat, and traffic moved like a metronome. The cadence matched night windows when a city sleeps and logistics does not. Loads rode rails in staggered intervals, landing minutes before the airport relabel crew hit peak. The timing cut idle time at stash points and kept volume thin enough to dodge attention. A calendar drove it all. Airport swaps, trucking shifts, and tunnel runs laid over each other so no single spike stood out. It ran for months because the pattern pretended to be normal. Small, regular, and boring. Engineering choices made detection harder. Sump pumps cleared trickle water from monsoon seepage so rails stayed dry and trolleys kept their rolling resistance low. Lights threw dim bands along the floor instead of hot spots that would bleed through surface anomalies on thermal sweeps. The trolleys rode rubber-clad wheels over sound-dampened bearings, on metal noise down to a dull roll. Segmented sections had mechanical locks every 30 yards. If a breach tripped a sensor, an operator could dead-stop a span and seal it, leaving the rest of the line clean. Open records on cross-border tunnel finds show a trend. More reinforcement, better airflow, and, in the most advanced cases, rail systems designed to move heavy product without human chains. Discoveries near Arizona in past years documented concrete-lined shafts, power, pumps, and even ventilation designed to mask humidity. The build here followed that arc, smarter, quieter, and made to last. One terminus hid under a flooring warehouse. The rails ended beneath a slab patched with removable laminate that matched the showroom colorway. After a trolley locked into a recessed cradle, a hydraulic jack lifted the panel, and a crew rolled crates straight to forklifts. In under 10 minutes, pallets sat on the forks, shrink-wrapped with legitimate inventory, and routed onto trucks already assigned normal delivery windows. The lease listed a common trade name, the permits matched code, and the trash showed actual flooring scraps mixed with ordinary office waste. The crew spoke in systems, not names. Short encrypted bursts moved only at preset windows with deliberate delays, so a seized phone would show stale messages. Dead drop photos of timers and dock numbers sat in cloud bins with auto-delete toggles. Codebooks mapped to shift calendars and lane IDs, never to people. The same alias surfaced again and again. El Architecto, tagged beside updates that adjusted runtimes by a few minutes to keep harmony with power usage and traffic. Investigators stacked weak signals until they had a map. Utility spikes at odd hours suggested pumps and chargers coming online. Subtle soil sag along a fence line hinted at voids below. Freight patterns showed trucks that drove legal routes at legal speeds, but always parked for 9 minutes at the same coordinates. All of it went into a single morning plan to prevent one site from warning the rest. Seismic monitors woke up as the first teams rolled. Doors hit seconds later. What moved through those lines was not a flood. It was a drip that never stopped. Fentanyl and meth loads split into smaller, rail-ready weights that blended with the industrial heartbeat of the area. They fed the airport lane on a tight clock, then rode scheduled legs toward Phoenix, Chicago, and Detroit. The conveyor is exposed now, but the hard part begins after the arrests, designing infrastructure that assumes an intelligent adversary and closes the rhythm they used. The rebuild has to start at the weak joints that made this cadence possible in the first place. The same rules that rush organs and live tissue can be flipped into covert lanes when design ignores an intelligent adversary. Speed, trust, and label priority become tools against the system, and the cost lands on communities already strained. Arizona's fentanyl-related deaths surged by 380% in 2 years, a stark measure of what flowed through those lanes. Demand transparency on special lane audits, back biometric cargo checks, and tamper-proof labels that lock to manifests, not badges. Watch for updates as investigators trace El Architecto. If tunnels were the first pipeline and an airport lane the second, the third line is resilience, built in public view, tested every day.